Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Invictus PlayStation Formula 4 League. You're joined just by myself, Andriy, in the, well, very much a lonely commentary box it's been so far this season, but I do have an exciting announcement regarding that a little bit later, but we'll just wait until we pick up a few more viewers a little bit later on in the stream until I make that. Of course, I'm sure, just by judging by the timing of that, I'm sure a few of you may be able to guess what exactly it is regarding, but I'll make sure to fill you in on the details in a little bit. I do hope you enjoy this evening so far, however, and I do hope you enjoy some of the racing the F4 guys are going to provide for us tonight at China. As always, if you do enjoy it, do make sure to leave a like on the stream. It does help us out massively at Invictus here. And do make sure to follow us on our social media platforms as well, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget to head to the website and the apply to race section of it if you would like to take part in the community and get involved in it. It's an amazing community, brilliant one, and you don't necessarily have to race. There are plenty of roles available. The schedule, as always, I've probably hammered it into you guys already over the course of the season, but you can still find it in the description below if you'd like to know what it is. I can already say that on Monday evening we had a brilliant race in the Invictus PlayStation Formula 1 League with Gareth and Sab commentating over us, and it was a very, very good race, and I do recommend watching that one over. Definitely one of the highlights from the season, and I was, of course, driving in that, so definitely not biased towards that in any way, shape, or form. but I do make sure to check that out if you have the time, of course. Now, quickly looking back at France, last round, of course. Eric Pancakes took the win for the Racing Point team. It was his first ever win in Invictus history, so it was brilliant to see from him. And Nelly 295 came in second, and he was promoted by post-race penalties that were applied to Brennan's after some investigations the stewards were doing in the steward's office. And unfortunately, that means Brennan's was demoted to third. And, well, that does not, of course, nullify the comeback drive he made in any way. He made an excellent comeback drive. He qualified on the front row of the grid in second position, and then he tangled at the beginning of the race, went down to 17th position, and then worked his way back up there to second place at one point during the race, before those post-race penalties, of course. So it was a brilliant feat from him, and no less against drivers of his caliber. And he managed 18 laps on those hard tyres in the end, so they weren't near flat, but they would have been getting there. One person's tyres who did go flat during the race was O'Steven, and, well, him and McLaren had a bit of a terrible weekend, I have to say, in France. He, of course, suffered front wing damage at the start through a collision, and that meant he spun out a little bit, and I think I slightly misled you to believe that it was a puncture at the beginning, but it wasn't. Nonetheless, he struggled around the lap to try and get that front wing repaired in the pit lane, and then he did get a puncture at the end. So he struggled quite a bit with his tyres. He's no stranger to pushing them to the limit, I must say. So we've seen that before from him, and we'll see what he'll do tonight regarding the strategy. But McLaren only scored 1 point with Tin Man Z in 10th position in France, just about holding on to that 1 point they scored for the Constructors that race. They'll be looking to perform a bit better today. With Nelly's podium, and not yet another podium for an impressive record already for the Alfa Romeo driver, it promotes the team to second in the Constructors' standings, I believe just 20 points behind Mercedes, which was helped, of course, by F1 Rich's performance for the German team in 6th position last time out in France. Nelly still leads the Drivers' Championship by a handful of points. Tim Anzi tumbles down a few places in the standings, I'm pretty sure, partly helped by Johansson's good performance last time around in France. And this evening we have a new driver joining us. His name is David, as I would know him, or as you will see him, ladies and gents, on your screens. He will be Davy6_46. That's the best I could translate the gamer tag. Of course, we have some quite sophisticated gamer tags in the league, I must say. So he will appear as DA, well, a 4 instead of the A, and then VI646. So he will take the spare Haas seat this evening, which will be quite interesting to see what he can do. Debut for him. Of course, we're no strangers to seeing drivers perform right off the bat from their debut, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. And just getting confirmation now that a few drivers can't make it today either. I think Racing Tej can't make it, and I'm pretty sure Doiji as well cannot make it today. So that will be that regarding the drivers for China. Now, onto the track itself, of course, Shanghai, the Shanghai International Circuit. It's got a population of 26.32 million. I think one of the highest populations we have on the F1 calendar. In fact, the highest, I believe, in the F1 calendar. Definitely on the IRL calendar. It's a 5.45 kilometer lap, or 3.38 mile lap, with 51 gear changes and 16 corners, and drivers will be reaching speeds of 348 kilometers per hour, especially down that back straight, which is the longest in the Invictus calendar, and that will be helped partly by a DRS zone, and that goes nicely into a hairpin, which is a prime overtaking spot, and I'm sure we will see the drivers use that plentifully today, and we'll see plenty of overtakes today into that corner. The other of the DRS zones is placed on the start-finish straight, which the drivers are just navigating now as they're on board with the Prezi boy for qualifying. So, qualifying-wise, we're seeing the two Alfa Romeos currently out on the track. Everyone on the soft tyres, interestingly, according to my graphic there. So, no one opting for those medium tyres yet. We almost always see a few drivers, I think, opting for those medium tyres, but today, well, no, we do actually see a few drivers opting for those medium tyres. So far, Brennan's has popped up. I'm not sure if that's a bit of a glitch on my screen there, but, well, as far as I'm concerned, most drivers on the soft tyres today. We normally have a slight mix with the mediums, but the soft tyres are the quickest around here, obviously, in qualifying. If you can start on those mediums, however, it will play very nicely into your hands, especially with that alternate strategy during the race. Onto the hard tyres at the end, you'll have a bit more to push because you'll have slightly more room on those hard tyres, as they won't wear out as much if you obviously use them for fewer laps. But soft tyres will be the preference, I'm sure, today. A tricky lap to hook up in qualifying, it must be said. It's by no means an easy track, despite that very long back straight. And, well, speaking of that back straight, they'll only be on the throttle for 54% of the lap, which is, well, not as high compared to the likes of Sochi and some other tracks. And Sochi doesn't have nearly as long of a DRS, of a back straight, rather, as, although one to contend for, definitely, but not as long as China. So despite that very long back straight, still not on the throttle that much from the drivers this evening. And we've got a few other tricky corners. Turn 1's not easy, definitely. You have to hook up the apex, and we're going to be watching Prezi boy right now going out for his first banker lap. We'll see what he can do heading through turn 1. You really have to try and keep it as clean as you can and really hug that inside apex. And if you go wide, then miss that apex, then you'll struggle quite a lot and you'll lose a lot of time. And then exiting this corner just here, turn 4, I believe, really, really imperative to get on that throttle as early as you possibly can to, well, take advantage and make the most of the traction and make the most of the turn through the corner. But so far he's doing quite well. Coming through the likes of turn 6, the fast left and right hander off sector 2, really important to hug the apexes here. And we'll see if he can do that into this corner just here, slightly missing it, but of course it is a banker lap and the grip won't be the best out straight away on the banker lap. So, well, he'll improve on the second and third runs, I'm sure. And heading through now into turn 11, he'll be reaching this at around 294 kilometers per hour. Really difficult turner to contend with. The rear end will definitely be looking to come out as he crosses in turn 13 just now, heading down the back straight. He's not kept it nice and clean so far with the rear end, and he'll be hitting that DRS in any second now. You can see the DRS mark is there, and he's opened his rear wing full speed down the straight. He's going to be reaching around about 207 miles an hour here as he brakes into the hairpin. Slight lock up, but that's fine. You don't actually lose a lot of time into the hairpin if you lock up, and he's kept it quite nicely so far, as we have a few drivers already setting their banker lap. Prezi boy, however, heads through the final corner, slightly missing the apex there, but still plenty of room to improve. Nonetheless, he sits at 1:31.5, so it's not too far off the other drivers. Well, I say not too far off. We'll see how well the rest of the drivers cope with that. Nelly, his teammate, setting a slightly slower lap time. We've seen Nelly, actually. He hasn't always been right off the quickest in qualifying, let's say. But, well, in the race, he definitely does answer for himself, and he does perform very well there. A man who, for who that is quite the opposite is Tinasop Chanel, who we're on board with right now. He normally qualifies very well, and he just can't quite answer for it, rather, in the race, whether that's from tyre strategy or some form of unfortunate incident. So we'll see what the Red Bull driver can do today as he heads through the final corner, keeping it nice and clean across the line. He's currently in 4th position on 1:31.2, so a few drivers breaking through that 1:31 barrier, but most of them most of them just above the 131s there, as we're seeing some more lap times from there. Craig in 10th position, the Scottish driver in the Renault. Well, don't want to speak too soon, but he was having some connection issues last time around in France. He's definitely had the pace this season to contend with the guys up at the front of the grid. We've seen him almost get to a podium in Italy before it kind of all went spinning away at the last corner, and it was a bit of an unlucky mistake, to be honest, for him. But he's on a blanker lap so far. Blanker lap, inventing words here, ladies and gents. That's what I'm doing tonight. But he's on the soft tyres, and he'll be finishing off his lap very, very soon. Interestingly, 2 drivers on the medium tyres so far. Brennan's currently finding himself in 9th place, with a 132.2 on the mediums. That'll probably be, well, we'll see. You could definitely maybe improve that time on the mediums, but it'll probably be the best you can do on them. And to be honest, if he finds himself within the top 10 on that tyre, that will be extremely, extremely advantageous for him in the race, as I said, with that alternate strategy. And, well, we had a dry race last time out in France. Craig heads for the pit lane. And today, I also have confirmation that it will be dry in both the qualifying and the race sessions. So, will be good to see for the drivers, of course. They'll be very happy with that, I'm sure, so they won't have any complications with the weather this evening. They'll like to cling on to their, I'm sure, soft, hard strategies quite nicely there, as Runanosaurus finds the grass a little bit at turn 1, understeering a little bit, going slightly wide, I'm sure. Well, he just did his lap, so not sure if he's going for another. We've seen a few drivers do that. A few drivers like to, no, he's definitely warming up his tyres, as you can see him swerving a little bit from side to side, trying to keep the temperature in. Or perhaps he's saying hi to the stream, who knows. Nonetheless, he might be going for another lap straight away. We do see a lot of drivers like to do that here, just to kind of get in the groove almost straight away before their second runs. And we're coming up to 11 minutes in the qualifying session now. And they'll be looking to head out for their second run sometime soon. The Racing Point and the McLaren of O'Stephen, I believe, the only 2 drivers. Now, a few more drivers are heading out for their second laps, but they were the only 2 drivers at the time on the track. And O'Stephen currently in 16th. He'll be looking to qualify as high up as he can today, especially after that performance in France, to try and, well, maximise the points. Last time, the McLarens, I believe, qualified in 5th and 6th position, so nestled quite nicely together, the 2 constructors' drivers. And, well, today, currently, O'Stephen hasn't yet set a lap, but I'm sure he will, as he opens up his flap there, the DRS at the back of his McLaren, and he's heading into the hairpin. This is going to be the overtaking spot, I believe, ladies and gents, for the race. He's struggling a little bit with track limits there. I think what happened there was he broke slightly earlier than he perhaps wanted to, and it's always a little bit awkward because you want to turn in as soon as you can, but, well, if you do that, then you invalidate your lap, as he has. So I think he'll keep going for it a little bit to try and get in the groove. Definitely one of the drivers trying and opting for that strategy and that way of setting the laps. Another driver who's just on an out lap, F1 Richard, interestingly, on the mediums. His teammate set a lap time on the mediums, and he's decided to go for it as well. Perhaps he said, well, thank you for the challenge, Brennans. I'll take that up very much myself, and I'll see what I can do. He finished in 6th position last time around in France, very much helping the Mercedes team in their constructor standings. So we'll see what he can do today. Of course, there were a lot of penalties last time around at France. And penalties, yeah, quite easy to achieve here in China. We'll see how the drivers deal with them, but definitely not as bad as they were definitely not as bad as they could be in France. And we saw a lot of shuffling after the race as the drivers crossed the line, and I didn't even notice it myself in the drivers' interviews afterwards for the podium there, with the penalty shuffling going on at the end. Currently, however, F1 Richard heading into the final sector. He's got Prezi Boy ahead of him. Just lets him through quite nicely there. Almost drifting to let the Mercedes driver through currently. And he'll be heading down the back straight to the DRS zone. Let's see what he can do as he comes to the end of this lap. Plenty of drivers out for their second run now. About 8 minutes left into the session, so we'll hopefully see a lot of them try and set some better times. Top 3 currently forming, however, a little bit. Eric Pancakes still in pole position, and, well, he's probably quite confident after that win in France. He had a very, well, I'd like to say dominating. I think that probably would be the best word to describe it. No other, more appropriate way to describe it. He definitely pulled away from the pack at the start there, and he just kind of drove his own race there. And he did get a bit of a penalty at the end of the race, but even that, 5 seconds I think it was, didn't really change the qualifying, the ending positions for him much there. He qualified in 3rd last time out in France, so looking a little bit stronger today in China as Prezi boy ahead of him is going for a little lap. We'll stay on board with the Alfa Romeo driver. I'll be interested to see if he improves his lap a little bit here. Of course, setup-wise, yeah, you can see him hooking up his apexes a little bit more nicely, perhaps finding a little bit more grip this lap. And I'm sure he'll be gaining a little bit of time. We can watch the top right, which will be the delta. It says Sector 2 there currently. He'll cross the Sector 2 timing board just about now, which is about 180 kilometers per hour, which is just slightly slower on this lap. But we'll see if you can maybe find a little bit of time in the final sector here. Perhaps you can maybe find some time through the final corner. We'll see what the Alfa Romeo driver can do. Currently ahead of his teammate, who is leading the championship. So currently boding quite well for Prezi boy in qualifying. But I definitely do not want to speak too soon. And, well, we've just gone off him just for a second there. We'll see what he can do as he gets his rear end slightly out of control there, coming out of the hairpin. Quite easy to do on the traction. He's going to be heading into the pit lane, clearly not improving on his lap. David, the new driver in the Haas car, debuting for the Haas team. Let's see what he can do as he crosses the line. A 1:30.13 from him, so I'm sure he'll get close to that 1:31 barrier. As Joe Hamster, well, I don't think I noticed that, but he's currently on provisional pole with a 1:34. We'll see if the Racing Point of Eric Pancakes can answer to that. Yes, he can, by 1,000th, I believe there. Yes. Wow. Wow, what a lap for the Racing Point driver. We're getting very, very close between the two of them there, so definitely two to watch out for in the qualifying session. Wow. Impressive to see very, very close at the top end of the qualifying board here so far. And currently Eric Pancake sitting on pole, but I'm sure Joe Hamster still has a little bit more in his lap. He'll be looking to improve that one. His teammate, Daryl Whiffen, currently heading through the first turn, picking up that apex quite nicely. He's downshifting there, and he's gained quite a little bit of traction through that downshift, and he gets on the power nice and early as he steams to the Sector 1 timing board. We'll see if he improves on his lap time a little bit. Yes, he is. He's 2/10 up. Nice to see from him. 2/10, that'll shuffle him quite nicely up the order, and I'm sure he has plenty more time to gain in his lap. As always, ladies and gents, if you are enjoying the stream tonight, do make sure to leave a like on it. It does help us out greatly. And do make sure to follow us on our social media platforms, and head to the website as well if you'd like to apply to race and get involved with the IRL community, which I do thoroughly recommend. The season will be coming to an end fairly soon. We've only got 2 races left for you after China, just Spain and Singapore. Both very, very good tracks, so definitely 2 to watch out for. And after that, we'll finish off the season promptly, and we'll have the next season ready for you on the next game, I believe, F1 2021, which we hope will come out. Of course, I think EA brought in, well, EA will have a significant role to play in that game, so we'll be interesting to see what it turns into, definitely. And definitely some exciting stuff for IRL and many, many other leagues, of course, across the F1 2020 platform. Dal Whiffen crosses the line. Well, he certainly found a little bit more time in his lap. He's currently in a 1:39, so he's broken through that 1:31 barrier quite nicely. He's got 4 minutes left in the session to quickly head back to the pit lane and go out for a second run in a little bit. But he is just behind the likes of Tim Manzi, the McLaren driver. He came with a singular point last time in France, currently finding himself in 4th position. Good from him so far as well. Well, I think it is time to do a little bit of an announcement, I guess. And, well, in short, I will be having a commentating partner joining me. Well, there's 2 parts to this. There's the good news and the bad news. The good news is I will be getting a partner, but the bad news is it won't quite be this season, unfortunately. The way that, well, I guess I like to call it the COVID calendar, the way that our COVID calendars lie, it don't really complement each other. So, unfortunately, it means that we won't be able to commentate together this season. But next season, I'm sure we will be able to get together as, well, if everything stays the same, and hopefully provide you some interesting coverage as a duo. And my partner will be called Ryan, and he's from the Formula 2 League. So we'll have a slightly larger breadth of knowledge and information for you guys as well, so it should be a little bit more interesting. Next week, and the week after, unfortunately, I'll have some commitments to attend to, so I won't be able to provide you any coverage, and neither will my partner for Spain But for the last race of the season, he will be able to provide you some coverage, which I'm sure will be quite interesting, seeing as just how close the current Drivers' Championship is in this league so far. We've seen a few leagues start to wrap up their titles, and they're definitely getting close to it, but the F4 League is still pretty close. Constructors is a little bit further apart, definitely. Mercedes definitely were slightly more dominant at the start of the season, but still pretty close in the driver standings. I believe 4 points only separating likes of Nelly and Brennan's there. So yeah, nice and close. Will be interesting to see what happens. Of course, the last race I'm sure will be brilliant. Singapore will be the last race. Street circuit fun, which we haven't had much of this season, it must be said. So do make sure to tune in for that. And of course, if you want to tune in for Spain, then you can check the social media platforms. Twitter especially will definitely post the results on Twitter of the finishing positions there, so you can still stay up to date with the F4 League. You won't be completely out of touch there, I am sure. I'm board currently with Louis, the Renault driver, who's just started Sector 2. He's just crossed that Sector 1 timing board, and he's sending through the fast left-hander of Sector 2. Oh, plenty of understeer for the Renault driver there. I don't know if that's a setup there, but he's hooking up the apex very, very nicely into that corner there, and he's heading through the double left-hander now, and he's invalidated his lap, I believe. So, not great really. I'm not sure if he has enough time to head for a second run, or enough fuel in fact. We'll see what he can do. Plenty of drivers heading for their outlap, especially the top three now. And they're all going for their outlap. Prezi Boy in 10th position, going for his last and final lap, as you can see him slightly lock up into the turn there. Looks like he's struggling a little bit with the balance of the car. We'll see. Well, we'll definitely see that through qualifying. Of course, as I said, difficult to hook up a lap, difficult with the balance as well. And then the race especially difficult with the tyres. The second your tyres go off, you can almost feel it in the race. You start slipping around a little bit everywhere, and it all gets a little bit out of control, and it's very difficult to take advantage of the very little grip you have left. Even when you have to sometimes, you have to stretch those soft tyres quite far, almost to their limits, before you pit onto the hard tyres, and we'll see what the drivers do today regarding strategy. Prezi Boy across the line. It's only 9th for him, well, the 1:31.0, but wow, look how close the standings are, from about 4th place to, I'd say, about 9th. I mean, almost a 10th covering them there. So very, very interesting to see between those drivers, as the McLaren driver of Tim Manzi starts his final lap. Well, not starts, rather, he's well through it now. He's just gone through Sector 2, and he's heading through the final turn there, hooking up the apex nicely, as a Haas car has gone slightly off-road there. I'm pretty sure letting another driver past quite nicely there. 10 seconds left in the qualifying session, so if any drivers don't cross the finishing line before that timer ends, they won't be able to start another lap. And Tim Manzi just heading into the hairpin now. Darryl Whiffen finished his qualifying. Well, Tim Manzi still hasn't quite done it yet. He's going to be heading through the final turn just about now. Let's see how he can hook up the apex. Quite nicely there from him. A little bit conservative almost on the throttle. Perhaps he's got quite a bit of time he's gained that lap, but that he wants to just, well, bring home really, and he has indeed. It's a 1:37 from the McLaren driver so far. Joe Hamster just heading through the hairpin, and he's invalidated his lap, so he won't be improving on that. It's a 1:34 from him. Eric Pancakes, however, just heading through the final corner. We'll see what he can do. The current pole sitter, in fact, well, we'll see if anyone else can challenge for that. Tinnis Optionel just behind him, and Nelly will be the two to definitely look out for, to see if they can challenge for this pole position, as Eric Pancakes just heads through into Sector 3 through the hairpin. As Craig retired, he hasn't been able to set a lap in qualifying, unfortunately, today. So, not a bit of a disastrous qualifying session for him, but he'll look to improve in the race, I'm sure. Eric Pancakes heads through the final turn and up to the line. Let's see what he can do today. Yeah, doesn't quite improve on it, just a fraction of a second slower than that. Tinnis Optionel will be heading through the final corner just now. We'll see if the Red Bull driver can answer to his pace as Nelly crosses the line. He says a 1:34, and Tinnis Optionel beats that with a 1:33, a 5/10 improvement for the Red Bull driver. Of course, that's only half of the job done, as the racing drivers in Formula 1 like to say. It's only 50% of the way there. But nonetheless, very nice from Tinnis Optionel. He'll be starting on the front row today, which I'm sure he'll be very, very happy with. Important for China. And he'll be able to, well, enjoy the clean air a little bit more, as the drivers behind him struggle with that dirty air in qualifying. But pole position for the Dutchman there, Tinnis Optionel, in the Red Bull. Nice to see. He got a pole position last time in France, however, and the race didn't quite go his way, so we'll see what he can do today. And all Dutch top 3, wow, this is becoming a recurring theme at the F4 League. Nelly lines up in second to finish off the front row in the Alfa Romeo Racing Swiss team there. Eric Pancakes lines up in third for BWT Racing Point. Joe Hamster in fourth and Brennon's in fifth there with Tin Man Z in sixth. Nice qualifying session for him. Louis in seventh position. Darryl Wolfen in eighth. David, the new driver, on his debut in ninth, so good from him so far. And Prezi Boy in 10th to round off the top 10 there. TJW in 11th, just lining up outside of the top 10. F1 Richard there in 12th. O Steven in 13th. Sir Spud in 14th. Towley for the other Williams driver in 15th. Ronosaurus in 16th. And then Craig and Tyrakrak in the Renault and Haas respectively, not setting any lap times there in qualifying. So perhaps struggling a little bit with their balance, or just, well, I don't know. Something along those lines, perhaps a little bit, struggling a little bit with track limits. I did say they would be slightly tricky in China, and we've seen a few drivers already struggle a little bit with them there. If you are enjoying the show this evening, do make sure to leave a like on it, as always, ladies and gents. Do get involved in the comment section as well. If you have any predictions to make for the race, anything really, then do make sure to pop them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to get you involved today with the race. And do follow Invictus on our social media platforms. Stay up to date with the race results, which you'll need for next week, because as things stand, I don't think we will have any coverage for the F4 guys next week in Spain. Very fun track, so it'll be interesting to see where they finish next time around. And do make sure to head to the website as well, invictusracingleague.com, and get yourself involved with the community. Do not miss the sign up for next season. I hope a few of you will be looking to sign up there. Definitely worth it. I do recommend it. Great fun racing in them. If it's a passion that you're thinking about and just on the fence about, definitely dive in and definitely try it out. Great fun with some of these guys. So, well, it's a lovely, lovely little hobby we all have here, I have to say, at IRL. Quite a delicate one as well. And, well, yeah. But we'll concentrate on the F4 League, of course, tonight. I'm sure the drivers are currently on the grid, scratching their heads a little bit about strategies. I'm sure the top 10 won't be, well, sure it'll be pretty clear-cut, to be honest. Top 10 will be on the soft-hard, mainly, and outside the top 10, I'm sure we'll see plenty of medium tyres. Maybe some hard tyres come out as well, actually. It'll be interesting to see what the drivers do there. Of course, it's dry this time in the race in China, as it was in qualifying, and that's a bit strange, because normally we do see the rain come down a little bit in China, but today so far, excuse me, throat's already getting pretty dry. I've done a fair amount of talking ready myself today, but so far very dry, just like my throat, which I will drink to just to keep it alive there as we get ready for the formation lap this evening for you guys. So weather dry, like I said, plenty of soft hard strategies. I'm sure we'll just check on that and see if I am correct. Yes, as I assumed, a few hard tyres as well. So interesting to see from the drivers. There's a few hard tyres from them. So they'll be looking to go a little bit longer than the medium guys and have the mediums to the end. So definitely not as clear cut as we would have thought there, but still, nonetheless, effectively two strategies there: the soft hard and the medium hard, just switched around for the drivers this evening, and they'll be wanting to keep their tyres warm. You'll be surprised how warm the soft tyres get actually after the qualifying laps there. They get fairly warm towards the end. A one lap blast, I mean, towards the end of the formation lap, they'll already be looking at about, well, around about 14% wear for their front left. Round about there, definitely into the double digits, I'm sure, and that of course doesn't bode well for the strategy. That means they'll have to pit slightly earlier, and it'll be up to the judgment of the drivers to see how they execute that strategy. But they'll be looking to pit, I'm sure, the soft runners around lap 6, 7 for the hard tyres, perhaps even slightly earlier. And of course they have to keep in mind that the hard tyres wear off as well pretty quickly. China's not kind to the tyres, as I've mentioned already. So if they pit too early, then they could find their hard tyres going flat at the end of the race. And we'll see what that means for the drivers today. But most important thing now is to just get the temperature in the tyres and warm up those rear tyres especially. They're very crucial on the start, as we can see. A nice little zigzag pattern forming there. It's quite satisfying to watch, actually, I have to say. F1 cars zigzagging. I'm being rather mesmerised by that sight there in commentating. You do really appreciate the little things here when you're sitting in the commentary box. So nice to see myself there enjoying myself there as the AI takes over for Tinder's option now. and he heads to the start-finish grid. Grid, rather. And he'll line up on that pole position. He'll be looking hungry towards turn 1, and plenty of the other drivers following him there. They have a 267-meter run down to turn 1, and turn 1's wide. It's got plenty of opportunities for the drivers to get some moves done, and if they leave that space on the inside, I'm sure the driver behind will happily take it from them. They'll have 27 laps to go in the race. We'll see what that means for the drivers. We'll see whether that means they'll be a bit more aggressive to the start. Perhaps not. Perhaps they'll take it slightly more cautiously at the beginning of the race, and then we'll see some battles emerging, and we'll see what they can do for us tonight in China as they line up, getting ready for those lights to go out. Eyes fixated on them, I am sure, and they will be waiting for them to come on, as I am. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights ahead of the F4 drivers tonight at the Invictus PlayStation League in China. And it's light out and away we go. A good start for everyone. Pretty good start for the Racing Point behind of Eric Pancakes. He's already trying to make a move on Nelly there. They're side by side through turn 1. Let's see what they can do. Eric Pancakes just about gets through on the outside line, fairly clean for the drivers. He leaves a lot of room for Nelly in the back there, and we see McLaren already spun out. Tin Man Z in the back, I'm pretty sure spun out. I'm sure he contacted another driver, maybe got slightly bit too comfortable and too close with the side pod of another car there, and he's gone round, or maybe he's just done that by himself. He's towards the back of the grid now on the soft tyres, and Daryl Whiffen as well has had a bit of a disaster there. He's towards the back of the pack, but so far it's fairly clean towards the front. Tinnis Optional leading Eric Pancakes. He's jumped Nelly so far, but it's of course not quite over yet, running pretty close of course between the top 10 there. We've got a little bit of a gap actually between the likes of the new driver David there, as we have a little bit of shuffling towards the back of the grid, and I believe that's the other Racing Point of Ronanosaurus spinning a little bit towards the back of the grid, so he's struggling on traction. The tyres perhaps maybe a little bit too cold for him there, and he's going to be battling with Tin Man Z into the next corner. Of course, Tin Man Z just staying behind him properly. He's in 18th position, not had the best of starts there for him, so he's going to be looking to improve on that a little bit further into the race. So the drivers all head to the back straight for the first time here. The longest straight here in China, longest straight on the IRL calendar. No overtaking moves just yet. Of course, DRS hasn't been enabled on this, enabled by the stewards just yet, but in the back we see a little bit of shuffling, as I'm sure Tin Man Z will be looking to make the move on Ronanosaurus here down the outside of the hairpin. We'll see if he can outbrake him. He breaks very, very late there on the Racing Point driver, still side by side between the two. Ronanosaurus just about leaves him the room there. He goes almost off the track. Of course, Ronanosaurus is on those medium tyres, and Tin Man Z is eager to get past him on those soft. He'll definitely want to make up the time and definitely want to make the most of the grip advantage he has there, as Ronanosaurus goes off just a little bit on those medium tyres, so perhaps struggling slightly for grip, but he'll definitely be looking to come back slightly later into the race. We have a slight timing glitch right now, ladies and gents. I do apologise for that, but Tinnis Optional is currently leading the race despite the game showing him being in 6th, and well, I'd like to say calming down a little bit so far for the drivers here at Invictus. A little bit of shuffling up. I wonder if we're going to see any drivers attempt moves through the fast second sector. It's very brave if they do, and if they do get side by side, we may well see an incident. It's very difficult to leave room for your opponent in that case. Currently on board with the likes of Joe Hamster, who's chasing down Nelly. Nelly's not had the best of starts, I think, right off the bat here at China. He struggled a little bit. Eric Pancakes got him around the outside. Not sure if that's just his soft tyres going off, or maybe he's struggling a little bit. Of course, I forgot to mention, he does actually have an injury this evening, the Dutch driver, a slight injury to his right foot. So he'll be happy to see that, well, they'll only be on throttle for about 54% of the race, but nonetheless it'll hinder him quite a lot because, well, still press the throttle a fair chunk here, and he's going a little bit defensive, perhaps eyeing up the AlphaTauri driver here, and Joe Hamster looking to go round the outside there, couldn't quite make a stick. Nelly outbrakes him quite nicely there, and Joe Hamster still using up all of his overtake to the final corner. Really not freely an overtaking spot here. Two cars really do not go through, and they do not indeed. Joe Hamster's gone around there. Touch the side pod there, he's going and he's tumbling down the positions, waiting very nicely there, being respected for the other drivers to pass him. So nice to see him, despite being so frustrated in that cockpit. I know how tempted he must have been to just get on the throttle and get out and going, but rules are rules, and he does have to wait for a safe, well, opportunity to rejoin the track, and he has there in 18th position, unfortunately. Oh, just a little bit of a shame there. Perhaps stuck his nose down the inside where he shouldn't have, and he spins out at turn 1 to add salt to the wounds there. His rear tyres are absolutely cooked, I'm sure. Definitely, well, very, very high on tyre temperatures. We have a yellow in the middle sector. We have a Renault driver, I believe. Not sure if that's Louis or Craig. I think that was Louis. I don't know if he got side by side with another driver. McLaren of O'Steven overtaking him. Tyrak overtaking him as well. And Daryl Whiffen just staying behind him for now. But I think he spun around a little bit there. So a few drivers struggling with traction already. We saw a little bit of a battle break out. Joe Hamster spin out, and then his tyres just overheated way too much, and he's lost a lot of time to the back of the pack. 13 seconds, of course, still not impossible to pull something back. By no means is it impossible, as another driver, Roninosaurus, has gone off as well through the double left-hander. So a bit of a grip disaster for the drivers this evening. A lot of them just not really able to get into their grooves at China. This just proves how difficult the track is during the race to hook up and stay consistent. And, well, we're watching currently on board with F1 Richard chasing down Spud. So Spud on those hard tyres. The medium tyres still very much within their prime operating window. So still very much got plenty of grip, and a lot more grip than those hard tyres, I can tell you for sure. Hard tyres are very difficult to warm up on the formation lap. So I'm, well, surprised to see two hard runners currently finding themselves in 7th and 8th position. So very nice to see from TJ and Spud there respectively. We're seeing some gaps form, I think, in the middle, and the DRS has been enabled by now. So I'm sure drivers will be looking to pull away a little bit. One driver who has currently pulled away is Tinus Optionel. He's got a 1.4 second gap around to Eric Pancakes, just outside of that DRS zone. If he can pull away without using too much of his ERS, then that will, well, become a major advantage to him later. Eric Pancakes might then come under threat from Brennon's, but I don't think he will, because Brennon's is just outside of that DRS zone from the Racing Point driver as well. So the top three, each outside of each other's DRS there, so they can kind of get on with their own races without worrying too much about the driver behind, pushing on and overtaking them, of course. But if they get too comfortable, then I'm sure that'll happen towards the end of the race there. And a few drivers are already picking up penalties. As I said, track limit's quite tricky around here, and I'm sure as they head through the turns of 9 and 10, you can go slightly out wide outside of turn 10 and get those warnings, and you pick up 3, of course, that is a penalty. So already picking up a few 3-second penalties. I'll have to watch out for them towards the end of the race there. Yeah, quite an interesting beginning, I have to say, to the Invictus race here. It's lap 4 out of 28 here. And not 27 laps for the drivers, I apologise for that, 28 laps this evening. But the soft tyres will be going off soon, and around about now is when they're going off, so the medium tyres will start to prevail a little bit. None of the medium runners are very close to the soft runners, of course, though, so they can kind of crack on with their own stuff as Brennan's just reaches that slight 1 second gap there. And we have our first pit stop of the day with, I believe, Louis, who struggled a little bit. I think we saw him through turn 6 struggle a little bit just at the end of sector 1 there, so he's pitted nice and early, getting off those soft tyres, perhaps just not really enjoying them much. Don't blame him, to be honest. He's gone onto the medium tyres, so he'll be probably looking to do a medium strategy today. Still a very powerful strategy, and of course, well, we haven't mentioned the prospect of safety cars. If safety cars come out, then that will help him out very, very much at the later stages of the race. TJW currently chasing down Prezi Boy in 6th position, and it must be said, the Alfa Romeos currently, and again, I don't want to speak too soon, I'm very careful about this now, ladies and gents, running quite nicely for the Constructors' Championship so far, in 4th and 6th position. TJ chasing down the likes of Prezi Boy, of course. I'll probably be looking to make a little bit of a move on him. I must be said, Tyrak, I believe, has made up quite a few positions already. He started towards the back of the grid. He didn't even set a lap in qualifying, and, well, through keeping it fairly clean and without making too many mistakes, he's currently up in 11th. He's not too far from those points-paying positions. He's just got F1 Richard ahead of him, just obstructing his way to the points, really. But, well, he's still very much got the opportunity to make his way there as another driver picks up a 3-second penalty there. And F1 Richard goes very, very deep into the hairpin, and the Haas driver is able to catch up to him a little bit more. Perhaps the Mercedes driver, they're struggling a little bit with his grip, slightly under pressure from the Haas driver of Tyrak. We'll see what he can do. Maybe a move into the first turn. Not sure about that, actually. I think he's a little bit too far behind. A little bit of a DRS drain forming here between 8th, 9th, and 10th here. And Craig up ahead a little bit as well. And, well, Craig is not in the DRS of TJW, so Spud will be looking to chase him down. F1 Rich is putting the pressure onto Spud. Well, they're telling him to probably get a move on and get the overtake done on the Renault driver there. And Tyrak behind in the Haas he's looking to, well, he's getting F1 Richard to get on the move a little bit as well. So a nice little battle we have here forming, 4th, 7th position currently in the Invictus PlayStation Formula 4 League. As always, if you're enjoying it, ladies and gents, leave a like on the stream and do subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for the broadcast we have later this week. If you're enjoying this one, likely you'll enjoy the Realistic Performance League on Thursday as well, so do make sure to tune into that. Follow Invictus Racing League on our social media platforms and head to the website if you'd like to get involved and get yourself a seat for next season, or for this season even, maybe, if you're lucky. Tyrak getting a slightly wary on the traction there with the medium tyres, so he's getting slightly lengthened the gap to F1 Richard there himself. F1 Richard, however, he's indeed getting a move on. He's on the back of Spud. Will this be a nice, clean move down the inside into the hairpin? Yes, it will. Nice and easy for him, so using up a little bit of that battery, but making a nice move down the inside, and we have a virtual safety car. A virtual safety car, I believe that was for the Racing Point driver, Ronanosaurus. He struggled this race to really keep it all together. Struggled at the start there with traction. You saw him in the wall almost, and I think he's retired on the track there. I might just be able to catch that. Yes, he has on the side there of the track. We can see by Joe Hamster here. And, well, a few drivers are pitting. This is obviously great for their tyre strategies. We're seeing Nelly, Prezi Boy, likes of Eric Pancakes, a bunch of drivers in the pit lane probably will start holding each other up there as they exit. They're all going onto the hard tyres, I presume, to the end of the race there. Yeah, plenty of white wall there, hard tyres. I think all of them going on, and we'll just wait for Daryl Whiffen to hop on. Yes, plenty of hard tyres for the drivers. Now, they have to be careful for this delta. There's a delta you have to follow in the virtual safety car, and if you go quicker than it, you can get a penalty for it. And there you go, Prezi Boy gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. Really tricky, especially if you exit the pit lane. The game doesn't really give you much of a chance to slow down, and it's really annoying to pick up these penalties. The drive-throughs, of course, are going to be impacting the drivers greatly. They're going to have to drive through the pit lane at some point. Of course, Prezi Boy is 3 laps before he has to serve that penalty, so he'll probably be looking, well, hopefully to use up a few of those laps to try and gain a gap as much as he can and negate the effect of that drive-through penalty, and then maybe, well, see if he can get some more points for this race. But a little bit of a shame for the Alfa Romeo driver after a good qualifying session. Tyrak all over the back off the Spud. So Spud on this hard tyres, he's struggling probably to keep the temperature in them after the virtual safety car, and the Haas driver says thank you very much. Does a very similar move to F1 Richard there and goes down the inside of him into the hairpin. In 5th position, a few drivers haven't pitted, of course. Craig staying out. He currently finds himself in 2nd position. Tyrak in 5th position from last. Craig as well from the back of the grid into 2nd place. Very nice to see. So definitely 2 drivers who've gained a lot this race. Gained a very large amount here. And good to see from them here. A few 3-second penalties and plenty of drive-throughs actually. Fortunately, the debut driver of David as well, picking up a drive-through there in the Haas. So yeah, not brilliant for him there. And plenty of positions here. It's up 16 positions for the Scottish driver of Craig, and down 13 for Joe Hamster. So they're the biggest winners and loser respectively so far from this race, but still plenty to go. We've seen a virtual safety car, nothing stopping from there being a full-on safety car later on in this race, but Craig currently running quite nicely on those medium tyres. He's still got a little bit more life left in him, a little bit more, and we'll be looking to pit. As I said, he's had the pace so far this season, and he's definitely showing it today, and definitely shining a little bit, must be said, so far in this race. As Joe Hamster has got a little bit of clean air to himself. He decided to crack on and set the fastest lap of the race so far, the 1:35.2, so nice to see him getting slightly more back in the groove, perhaps a tiny bit more comfortable with those medium tyres there. Brennon's, I assume, disconnecting from this session. So, yeah, a bit worrying for the Mercedes driver there. He's in 10th position, a bit of a critical position for him. He'll hopefully looking to be reconnect and rejoin the race very soon. I'll have to take a drink, ladies and gents. I've been talking for quite a while now, and do need to hydrate my throat a little bit. It's been quite the race so far at the PlayStation Formula 4 League, of course. Key position shuffling. It looks like we have another car off. Prezi Boy, it's gone a little bit wrong for him. Has to be said, he's off-road on those hard tyres. Trying to do a bit of a Valtteri Bottas, and he's gone into the wall for the Alfa Romeo driver, and his tyre's off there. What a disaster, and there's another virtual safety car here for the drivers. Excuse me, I'm very much being put to the test this evening, ladies and gents, it must be said. So plenty of the drivers, well, not plenty of the drivers, plenty of the drivers staying out, rather. A few of them going into the pit lane. David opting to go into the pit lane. Only 2 laps on his mediums, so maybe, well, interesting strategy for him. Maybe he's just decided to hop on those hards at the end of the race. Mediums, interestingly for him, I believe there, yes. So, well, still staying on the mediums. Guess medium strategy for him. Maybe he's going for a few more stops. Virtual safety car, of course. We'll see what this means for the drivers in terms of drive-through penalties. A few drivers picking up the penalties. The virtual safety car will be ending very soon, no less. And I'm sure some of the drivers will be looking to really try and not speed here. And, well, not get any penalties on the safety car restart. I'm just quite baffled by this, to be honest. A very exciting race we've had, and Spud has got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. Not sure if he's the only one. Again, like I said, very tricky, very easy to pick out those penalties if you're not paying attention. And Spud, he's been struggling on those hard tyres a little bit. Though Stephen catching to the back of him, and he has been struggling on the hard tyres indeed. A massive collision there for him into the wall. I wonder if this is going to be another safety car. Well, but Maylander must be on his toes right now, watching the screen of the Formula 4 race as Brennan's rejoins, and he's going to be wondering, scratching his head, what on earth has just happened here in the F4 League. I don't quite think that's a safety car just yet. Perhaps the game's fed up of giving them safety cars. And it's just a yellow flag in Sector 3. The Red Bull car looks like it's been cleared, but Spud struggling on those hard tyres, like I said, as Eric Pancakes heads into the pit lane. He was at one point leading this race here. Not leading, in second position rather, after making the move on Nelly. So he's looking to get these medium tyres off, probably. A little bit fed up with them maybe already. But yeah, like I said, difficult to hook it up at China with the grip. Once the tyres go off, they go off. And the hard tyres, they last a while, but they're certainly not the grippiest here. So, well, very easy to kind of lose the rear end. And, well, that's really what happens here. And currently, a few drivers, however, yeah, well, very much taking advantage of that. TJW, very much onto the back of the Renault driver of Craig. And Tennis Optional as well, getting onto the back of Tally. So an interesting thing we have here going on. Tennis Optional, of course, on those hard tyres, fresh hard tyres for him, and 9 laps on those medium tyres. The medium tyres will be significantly worn. You can see Tennis Optional gaining quite a little bit of time to the Williams driver there in the braking zone. It's currently 4/10 to him, and he gains a lot of time on traction there. I wonder if he's going to go for a move down the inside into turn 11. Yes, he will. He's going to dive down the inside. Both of them brake very late here, but fairly respectful racing from them. No contact. Nice move from Tennis Optional. No doubt he'll be looking to make his way up to the front of the grid. Currently running in net P1. Nelly currently running, I believe, in the net P2, and Brennan's in the net P3 there. Of course, when the top 5 pit rather, then yes, Tennis Optional will take the lead, and he's definitely going to the end on those hard tyres. The virtual safety cars have probably helped him a little bit with a strategy to pick up those hard tyres slightly later on in the race, as he says hello to us with his rear end of his Red Bull there a little bit. And he won't have as much wear on them as some of the other drivers will towards the end of the race, so that will help him very, very much. And he'll help him very much in the overtaking. Nelly, however, chasing down the likes of Tally, he'll be looking to get through to him and put the fight to the Red Bull driver of Tennis Optional as quickly as he can. And Nelly's going to find the room into turn 1. Tally just can't quite, well, keep it together with the grip he's got, as Brennan's is having a few connection issues today, and he gets the move done nicely on the Williams driver there. Very cheeky, as I said. If you leave the space into turn 1, be sure that another driver's going to take it. And Nelly, despite his little injury he's had today, so far performing quite nicely in a net P2, and a nice move down the inside of the Williams driver there. So settling in a little bit, dare I say, into the race so far. But I said it earlier, and it is, it definitely was not what I expected a little later. So far we've had 2 virtual safety cars, ladies and gentlemen, for any of you tuning in at this current point in time. And plenty of action from the drivers, a few retirements. Interestingly, a lot of penalties have been scrubbed off, probably served in the pit lane, I believe. But no doubt we'll see a few of them, a few more pop up on the timing screen as the race progresses onwards. And we're on board with Louis, who's just catching up to Brennan's, who is ghosted, and he's having a few connection issues today. So he's definitely not having his day. But definitely not the worst today, it must be said. There is definitely some worse days to be having this evening, shall we say, for some of the drivers. We've already had 3 retirements today, of course, with the drivers just struggling, I think, with their tyres and with the traction throughout the race. But Williams driver of TJW very much putting the pressure on Craig, who's got a tiny bit out of shape through turn 1. No doubt Craig is trying his very best to keep the Williams driver behind. It's very difficult to be the car in front here, because
Craig doesn't have the DRS on anyone, and what the Williams driver does, and on the straights, he also has the slipstream, of course, being this close to the Renault driver here. Furthermore, well, the Renault drivers on worn mediums, which are getting to the end of their lifespan, and well, the hard tyres are still very much within their comfort zone, it should be said. So TJW still keeping the gap to Craig, but Craig doing currently a nice job ahead of him. Still got plenty of battery to use, so no worries for the Scottish driver yet, I'm sure. Tarakrak, however, looking very racy this evening, it must be said. 11 laps on those mediums, he's still looking to pit, but currently gained quite a few positions. We'll see what he does after the pit stop. Why did I say that, ladies and gents? He spun out a little bit there. We'll see if he can recover it without too many positions lost. I think he can just about there. Got to be very careful on the throttle now, as he's got a little bit of grass on his tyres. But the Haas driver, well, he missed out on the first few races, so it almost feels like a debut for him, I'm sure, here in Invictus Formula 4. But it must be said, despite that spin, he didn't lose too much time, and he's still got plenty of laps left in this race, and still plenty of time to make a difference, it must be said, as Craig heads into the pit lane. So he's the first of these late medium runners to blink, and, well, F1 Richard follows suit as well, and the Mercedes, both drivers coming into the pit lane there to swap out their old medium rubber. We'll see where they come out. No doubt, I think Tennis Optional and Nelly will both overtake him. These drivers are looking to be net P1 and P2 in the race so far. TJW, O. Steven and Tarakrak yet to pit. All three of them quite performing this alternate strategy quite nicely, it must be said, so far. And Craig coming out in 7th position, so for starting in last position and after that pit lane, you know, as I said, still plenty of virtual safety cars. He's taking advantage of that quite nicely. He sits in 7th position now, gaining plenty of positions. How many exactly? I believe he started in 18th there, so he's gone up 10 positions, as you can see by the display on the left-hand side there. So good race for him. One of the highest gainers, of course, not quite the highest. Tarakrak's gained more, but he's yet to pit. We'll see where he comes around. Comes out rather, and Craig perhaps going for a slight undercut here on these hard tyres. He's pitted early as well as the likes of F1 Richard, so perhaps they're going on a slight undercut to the alternate runners up ahead of them. I'm sure they'll pit soon. Tarakrak especially will pit soon. O. Steven and TJW will perhaps stay out for a little bit longer in those mediums. They're not quite one sufficiently enough to be used, and Brennan's just tumbling down the standings here a little bit as F1 Richard will overtake him there through the sector 2 timing board there into turn 11 for the other Mercedes driver. So a nice overtake on his teammate Joe Hamster on the back of Towley here into turn 11. What can he do? Can't quite see them there. A little bit side-by-side action. Joe Hamster definitely brakes slightly later for him, and he's got a lot more traction on those medium tyres, although Towley's on those fresh hards. Perhaps they're a little bit cold. You can see his rear end almost slightly slipping out here. We'll see what Joe Hamster can do down the back straight. Plenty of battery to deploy. We'll see if he has as Towley goes to defend a little bit, but there's no real point defending it. Joe Hamster will get the move done quite nicely down the back straight, relatively easy for the Alpha Tauri driver there as Tarakrak heads into the pit lane. He's currently in 8th position, tumbling down the order a little bit. He's just looking to exit the pit lane. I think he'll exit just behind Eric Pancakes here in 11th position. And he's on fresh hards going to the end. Picked up a slight time penalty there, so I'm not sure what's going on. And his teammate David on a debut as another driver finding it tricky on the exit of turn 13 onto the back straight, so into the grass there. He's thankfully, I believe, recovered it with no damage to the front wing. Not very helpful there, the camera angle. Nice view of the rear tyres, but not quite what I need to see. The front wing, however, still intact for him by the looks of it, so he's still fine. Just wanted to take a quick look at the penalties. Just time penalties for these guys, so no penalties for speeding in the pit lane. That would be 5 seconds. 3 seconds currently from the drivers. They'll probably scrub that off, but a few more of those penalties and they'll definitely make a bigger difference towards the end of the race. We'll stay on board with the Alfa Romeo driver of Nelly. These two are fighting for position in the race, and Tinasop Chanel, well, swerving a little bit there, but it's not going to stop Nelly, perhaps trying to break the toe a little bit from the Alfa Romeo driver. Nelly going down the inside at the hairpin. Tinasop Chanel, well, not fighting it too much, but Nelly gets slightly worse traction there, perhaps slightly more rotation than he would have liked, and they're heading through the final turn now. Tinasop Chanel very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo driver there, and Tinasop Chanel there with the DRS this time around, so he will have a slight advantage in terms of speed. I wonder if we'll go for the re-overtake right away. A brilliant battle we're having here for Nat. P1 and P2 here as Tinasop Chanel swoops around the outside. He had so much more speed than Nelly there into turn 1. I think Nelly was taken slightly by surprise there by the other Dutchman's speed. So the two Dutchmen very much racing very, very hard this race so far, and very nice to see from them. Nelly, I'm sure, well, it's definitely not all over for him yet, as we see a few drivers pick up some more penalties. He's still got plenty of time left in his race to make a move onto this option now there. So Rack getting onto the back of Eric Pancakes. Eric Pancakes pitted slightly early onto the mediums, and he's currently running in 10th position. I wonder what he's doing strategy-wise. I'm not sure if he's going to the end on these medium tyres, but the likes of the Haas driver chasing down the Racing Point very much there as he overtakes the Brennans, who's not been having the best of races. Of course, connection issues have slightly hindered him. The gaps now slightly settling down, it must be said, so not too many drivers too close to each other. Of course, Nelly and Tinus Optional still very much looking to battle this out as TJW and O'Steven continue going on these hard tyres, and I say continue going. TJW into the pit lane. He's gone on, I believe, onto a fresh set of mediums. I wonder what O'Steven's going to do. O'Steven, he does like to stretch those hard tyres, so he's going to stretch them further and further and further, and see what he can do. Nelly staying behind Tinus Optional, not looking to race yet on him. Will Tinus Optional open up the space on the inside for Nelly to go for? Oh, no, he will not, but Nelly will make contact with the back of the Red Bull there, and perhaps a slight lapse of concentration for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's, of course, well, driving with an injury to his foot there, so, well, he was doing well for where he was. His front wing looks intact, but he might have a little bit of damage on it. It looked like a hefty impact, it must be said. A significant impact for the Alfa Romeo driver there, but he's currently in 3rd place. He's lost up all that time he gained to Tinus Optional, and he was sticking nicely behind his DRS. He probably wanted to charge up his battery a little bit more and attack Tinus Optional towards the end of the race. Nice weight taken off of Tinus Optional's shoulders, however. He can now crack on in the clean air and hopefully build up as much of a gap as he can to Nelly, but Nelly's no stranger to pulling it back in the race. I'm sure he'll be hungry to get that gap back to where he is, and we'll see Nelly drive as quick as he possibly can to make his way back to Tinus Optional. Of course, both of these drivers now definitely going to the end of the race here. And O'Steven currently leading the race on these hard tyres. The McLaren driver, both of McLaren's currently within the top 10. Tin Man Z is definitely going to the end on the hard tyres, and we've still got some drivers ahead of him to pit, and we'll see. I'm not sure if he'll jump his teammate when O'Steven goes to pit, but O'Steven's still not going to pit here. He's continuing on with his lap, and with his race rather. It was a lap there, but he started a new one now. He's got plenty more to go. This race, 11 more to be precise. So still plenty of opportunity for him to take some points this race. McLaren running quite nicely. Eric Pancakes slightly letting the driver of the Haas here, Tarak, dip into his DRS zone there. But now he's dipped out of it and dipping into it again. Louis has gone into the pit lane. Tim Ansley's jumped in. I wonder what tyres he's going to put on here. And another set of mediums, of course, for the Renault driver. So yes, medium strategy for him. He'll be most likely going to the end. 11 laps on those mediums. He should make it quite easily. So for having a little bit of trouble at the start with the grip, he's not doing too bad. And of course, he's got then a few drivers ahead of him who might pit, and a few drivers on those hard tyres that will get very warm towards the end. He'll be looking to take advantage of and overtake. But like I said, Tarak chasing down Eric Pancakes here, and Eric Pancakes getting slightly loose with his rear end on the exit of turn 6 there, which is quite easy to do. And looks like he's not really enjoying those medium tyres too much, the Racing Point driver there. And they're definitely getting towards the end of their lifespan, so that's probably why here. And the Haas driver very much chasing him down. I wonder if he's going to be within his DRS zone. He's just swinging just about on the fence of that DRS zone there of the Racing Point driver, but staying behind him here. We'll see if he can open up that rear wing onto the back straight. Will help him out majorly. He's got a penalty, and a few other drivers have. And perhaps we'll see maybe a few hard tyre runners towards the end of the race pick up some penalties as well, as they struggle a little bit with the grip. Currently, however, settling in a little bit, must be said, at the IRL F4 race, and this is what sometimes happens in China. And we've got a few bigger gaps in some places than others, that must be said, but currently fairly equal across the board. And a very good race we've had so far, of course. 2 virtual safety cars, and plenty of action this evening at the start. Plenty of drivers getting very, very racy with each other as Brennan's heads into the pit lane. I'm sure that's not actually him driving. If you have enjoyed the evening so far, ladies and gents, do make sure to leave a like on the stream. Just help us out quite a lot, yeah? In IRL, just help us out get the stream out to a larger audience, and help us out a little bit with just letting me know what I'm doing well, what I'm not doing so well, and helps me to improve the experience for you guys. And follow us on our social media platforms as well, and head to our website if you'd like to get involved. If you want to check out the schedule in the description below, then make sure to do so, as Eric Pancakes is making the move on Tim Manzi here on the outside into turn 11. Definitely looking quite quick, the racing point driver here, and Tim Manzi perhaps letting him through a little bit. He is on 10 laps on those hard tyres, sticking his nose in there a little bit, perhaps letting him know he's still there, and the McLaren driver, still very racy in fact, eager to put on a show, will stay on board with the Haas driver below. I wonder if this is going to be another 3-wide moment at China. I don't quite think so. I think the Haas driver is opting to stay out of it a little bit. Tim Manzi is clearly using up a lot more battery here, and the Haas driver looking to make a move down the inside of the McLaren. Will he? Not quite. Tim Manzi still breaks here. He stuck his nose in there, definitely the Haas driver. Now he's fighting the likes of Eric Pancakes. Eric Pancakes has lost out one position there a little bit. He almost had Tim Manzi there. Looked like Tim Manzi almost let him through. I think he struggled with the traction rather there a little bit, out of the double left-hander through turn 10, and that's kind of what let Eric Pancakes through. But Tim Manzi didn't give up. He stuck his nose back in and re-overtook him and went right back. Almost flew past him there. Speed and power, as Jeremy Clarkson would like to say. And the Haas driver now of Tyrakrak chasing him down. So a nice little battle we are forming here between them and Tyrakrak on much less worn hard tyres. Of course, he does have that 3-second penalty, so we wonder how Tim Manzi will deal with this one here. And of course, Tyrakrak, he still has a little bit more to go to that DRS zone, and we know Tim Manzi is struggling with those hard tyres a tiny bit right now for grip. And Tyrakrak's got a very, very poor exit, however, out of turn 6, and Eric Pancakes flies right past him once again. An interesting shuffle for positions we have here going on in the race. Like I said, difficult to be consistent around China, and that's definitely one of the drivers struggling a little bit with that. Louis catching on to his friend Joe Hamster here in the AlphaTauri. 3/10 between the two of them. One of them, however, on much less worn mediums, and you can see Louis, well, he's having a slightly easier time on the traction than his pal there in the AlphaTauri car. And we'll see what he can do down the back straight. No doubt these two will be looking to get a little bit racy here at the Invictus Formula 4 League as they head down the back straight through turn 13, reaching their maximum speed down this turn. We'll see what the two of them can do. Louis very much chasing him down. Of course, Joe Hamster doesn't have the DRS on anyone here in China. Will Louis make this move nice and easily down his inside? Yes, he will, into the hairpin. Very easy for him. Or is it? Because Joe Hamster's looking to fight back down the outside. Will he be able to get the switchback move? Not quite. Of course, Louis, with that superb traction on those fresh mediums, will make the move on him as Eric Pancakes heads into the pit lane on those worn mediums. So he's decided he's already had enough. Joe Hamster picks up a penalty on the corner. He just got into that dirty air, you see, and perhaps he's just slightly got a little more understeer than he would have expected. And the worn tyres certainly do not help him there, as Eric Pancakes is heading onto the soft tyres. So he's gone onto the softs at the end. Of course, he's still got plenty of laps left. Not enough to give them a flat at the end. And then I say that, well, we'll see what happens at the end. But he still has about 8 laps left in this race to make up some positions. A significant gap to the hard tyre runners at the back, but I'm sure he'll be looking to make his way back there. Oh, Stephen, 19 laps currently on those hard tyres. I mean, I kind of lost track of it. He's been kind of soldiering on, really, the McLaren driver here, and Tennisop Chanel has been chasing him down there as Tyrakrak and Tim Manzi are having a nice little battle into turn 11 here. The two of them shuffling a little bit in positions. One of them was slightly more grip, but Tyrakrak with that penalty, of course. Tim Manzi perhaps will want to stay with him a little bit towards the end of the race. But the Haas driver making quite a nice move on him there, and they were getting a little bit racy before, and they're getting a little bit racy now. And the Haas driver is running low on ERS. His red light's blinking there. He tried to cover off the inside from the McLaren driver, but the McLaren driver still found the space. A switchback from the Haas driver, perhaps not quite there for him yet. Tim Manzi finding the space to re-overtake him back down the inside. So nice, respectful, clean racing from the two. Perhaps having a lot of fun today as O. Stephen finally heads into the pit lane. Just after I noticed he was stretching those hard tyres right to the limit. He's headed onto the soft tyres, so no flat for him yet. He is currently in 6th position, so he exits, I believe, just ahead of this battle here, where his teammate's involved in. And, well, this is great so far for the McLarens, both of them running well within the points, an improvement from last week, it has to be said, but Stephen definitely running quite nicely now. We'll see just how many positions he's gained. Yeah, fair few, 7 positions, so very good from him. Craig's gained 14 this race, so plenty of gainers and plenty of losers, like I said already, at the Invictus PlayStation Formula 4 League. And Stephen, yeah, by stretching out those tyres right to his limit, he's definitely perfected his strategy there, and he's currently running in 6th position on very, very fresh softs, and he'll be looking at F1 Richard, and he'll be looking to make his way to him, I'm sure, no doubt, very, very soon as the race closes. Of course, we haven't got many laps left here now, and it looks like the top 3 are kind of starting to form here, and Tim Manzi and Tarak head through the final turn there. Eric Pancakes, like I said, he had a big gap to Daryl Whiffen at just after he pitted, and now he's closed that down very quickly. Of course, on those soft tyres, the grip advantage is very, very clear, as Daryl Whiffen shows us just exactly that. He gets slightly loose on the exit there of turn 13 onto the back straight, and Eric Pancakes is all over the back of him. I wonder if he's going to make a move with this ERS down the inside of the AlphaTauri driver. Yes, nice and easy for him. He's eyeing up those points-paying positions, and he's definitely going to be looking to be into them, because plenty of drivers ahead of him have penalties. So he'll look to take advantage of that, and well, not so quickly, because Daryl Whiffen's gone for a nice little switchback down the inside of the Racing Point driver, but he's got it covered off with a little bit of ERS, I'm sure. And well, nice drive from Daryl Whiffen there, but Eric Pancakes, I'm sure, was onto it there straight away as he tried to get away from him there. And another soft runner getting onto the back of another driver, F1 Richard, of course. That gap came down quite quickly, and O'Stevens now onto the back of him. And he's looking to make his way up. F1 Richard's got a hefty gap to TJW. We'll see what the McLaren driver can do to close that up a little bit later. And he is getting racy through the double left-hander now. Turns 9 and 10. They head through up to turn 11. We've seen plenty of overtaking moves happen here. Will it be another one? Yes, it will, I think. Oh, Stephen thinks about sticking his nose down the inside. Doesn't quite do it there. He's going to wait for the back straight. Perhaps a safer proposition for the McLaren driver there. He'll get through, I'm sure, with no problem on the Mercedes driver, and then he'll be able to crack on with his own race without getting any unnecessary damage. F1 Richard chooses not to defend it much. I don't blame him, to be honest. There's an overtaking move happening very, very early down the straight, and O'Stevens going to make his move nicely on the Mercedes driver there. Not too much hassle for the McLaren driver of O'Steven there, and he's nicely up into 5th position. Got a 10-second gap to TJW. Watch that gap. We'll see how quickly it'll come down. Watch the 16-second gap on Eric Pancakes, Eric Pancakes had to Louis, rather, the Renault driver, and watch that come down towards the end of the race as well. So we've got a few drivers looking pretty racy on their fresh sets of tyres. Definitely looking to take these gaps down and make some moves here. Tyrakrak and Tim Manzi still fighting it out, and despite his penalty there, it's always nice to see a driver still have the racing mood and the racing. We have a slightly yellow flag through Sector 2. I believe that was just Renault slowing down a little bit there. But it's nice to see him making the move. In fact, no, Renault has slowed down indeed. It was Craig who was running on the podium, and now TJ has overtaken him in the Williams. I wonder what happened to the Renault driver here. He just lost it, perhaps, struggling a little bit with traction, like I said. And yeah, he's 3 seconds slower in Sector 2, so definitely something for some kind of spin, some kind of loss of traction there through the turn. And like I was saying, quickly back to the guys here as Towley and Daryl Whiffen are getting racy. Well, plenty of racing going on here now. Back again towards the end of the race here in the F4 League. Tyrakrak, like I said, nice to see a driver not completely ignoring his penalties, but perhaps slightly just, well, he lets Louis through there. Just wanting to have some fun and have a nice little race with a few drivers. As he lets Louis through, perhaps thinks better of it. Louis is, of course, on those medium tyres. Much larger grip advantage for the Renault driver there, excuse me, ladies and gents. But he's currently in 8th position there. And Tyrakrak lets him through, perhaps decides that's a battle he does not wish to fight there on the Renault driver. So he'll stay in 9th position, and he'll let the Renault driver roam free and hopefully get the gap down to the McLaren driver of Tim Manzi there. He'll try and stay within his DRS as much as possible there. Daryl Whiffen and Towley going to be having a battle very, very soon enough as well. The two of them, Daryl Whiffen's closed the gap quite soon to him. Joe Hamster, his teammate, is onto soft tyres, so he pitted start of this lap as well. which we slightly missed there. So a nice little battle between the two AlphaTauris going. Perhaps Joe Hamster's telling him to get a slight move onto the likes of the Williams driver there, and I think he's let him through there quite easily. So just gave him some nice space around the outside. Very much a teammate-friendly track. 4 team orders here in Italy. So he's let him in Italy, China. We're not in Italy. We're in China. And Joe Hamster there making the move on Tally as well. Nice traction out of the turn 1 complex, as I like to call it there, and he's made the move on the Williams driver there. He's got a penalty, of course. All of these guys have penalties, but they'll still be looking to shuffle up the positions a little bit. Perhaps those penalties will take a slight effect towards the end of the race. And yeah, well, interesting to see. Oh, Stephen, that gap was at 16 seconds. It's now at 7 seconds, and Eric Pancakes just shortened this gap quite a while as well. So, well, good to see the soft runners making the most of their soft tyres there. And we'll quickly take a look at penalties. Just a few 3-second penalties from the drivers here. Certainly not as many as I was expecting towards the end of the race. 3 laps left. Still more opportunity to go free roaming around the track, as I like to say. So plenty of penalties to be picked up by Eric Pancakes. Not quite within that 3 seconds of Tarak Rack to take advantage of those penalties. Townley and Daryl Whiffen switching a little bit at the back here as well. So they have just had a little bit of a move on him. I think Daryl Whiffen made the move on the Williams driver there. So the AlphaTauri driver of Daryl Whiffen very much on the pace here, and it looks like Townley's heading into the pit lane. Not sure if he'll be retiring this race, but yeah, it doesn't look too good for him. As he speeds in the pit lane, I think he may well be retiring this race. Joe Hamster's kind of gone off into the sunset, and he's now catching onto the back of Eric Pancakes. So 2 soft tyre runners going to be clashing out towards the end of the race here. The 2 of them. It'll be interesting to see how they do. Eric Pancakes hasn't really been able to get much of a move onto the driver ahead of him, as we have a yellow in Sector 2. I believe that's the Haas driver of Tarakrak. He's gone into the gravel on the fast left-right section, and he's really slow here now in Sector 2, and his teammate picks up another penalty to add salt to the wounds for the Haas drivers there, and Eric Pancakes is now all of a sudden all the way onto the back of him. So that gap has come down very quickly to the Haas driver. He was having a pretty good race, keeping it pretty clean, and he's gone even worse for him there as he's gone around at turns 11, and yeah, his tyres perhaps slightly overheated after that incident he had, and Tin Man Z looking very racy into the hairpin, making a move down the inside of Louis there in the Renault, and Louis still looking to battle this through. I wonder if he's going to go side by side through the last turn. No, he won't. He'll think better of it. Perhaps he saw Joe Hamster slightly, well, get it all wrong there a little bit earlier into the race, and perhaps he decides to be slightly more cautious and take it easy for now. He's still got a few more opportunities left, but those opportunities will start coming down with every extra corner he takes, of course. It is now the closing stages of the race, and the Renault driver is still looking quite racy on the McLaren driver there. So we'll see what he can do, to be honest, between the 2 of them. But he's looking very racy, definitely one of the closest battlers so far on this pack. And Eric Pancake, as well as Tarakrak, I believe, is retired, so he's well, a bit of a shame there, really, for him. He was running really well at the start of the race, and not sure if that was the commentator's curse coming into play. Perhaps it was a little bit there, but he's retired from the race, so he won't be taking any further part in it. These 2, however, still very much looking racy. Joe Hamster's got that penalty, of course, 3 seconds, so he needs to overtake Eric Pancakes and make the most of it. And, yeah, make the most of that penalty, make the move on him, and, get those 3 seconds advantage over him. I'm just paying attention as the Haas driver hasn't quite retired in the pit lane. I think he's just outside. Not sure if that's going to be a safety car, but I don't think it will. I think it's a little bit too late in the race for a safety car, so not too much of a problem here as the leaders head through there now, and they'll start their final lap soon. But Joe Hamster on the back of the Racing Point driver here, who's going to go down the inside and the back straight. He's got that TRS. He's going to be looking to make the move on him. Eric Pancakes perhaps not too fast. He knows he might make back the position after the race when the penalties are applied, so he doesn't fight it too much, but I'm sure he'll be looking to stay within his DRS and not let Joe Hamster get out of it and make that 3-second gap, although it must be said that will be very difficult in this last lap for the AlphaTauri driver to do, but perhaps the 2 of them having a little bit of a nice race there. And Tin Man Z actually still closing up onto Louis here, so they were having quite a nice battle here. And nice to see, actually. I think Louis re-overtook him here. So he's back into 7th position. Tim Andriy hasn't quite let that go, though. I'm sure he'll be looking to chase him down and make the position back here. But currently running in 8th position. He's very close. Excuse me, to the back of the Renault driver there. Just about within his DRS zone. I think the only two within each other's DRS zones currently on the track, so maybe he'll be looking to, I think he just crossed the detection zone there. But I'm not sure if he'll be able to make that move, of course. Louis is on those medium tyres, and he will have that slight grip advantage over the McLaren driver. But currently, the two leading the race, Nelly, after that slight loss of traction he had, is now kind of made back the gap a little bit. He struggled to get within his DRS zone of Tinus Optional there, but he's only 1.7 seconds behind the driver, so still very much putting on the pressure. 20 laps on those hard tyres there for him. So a lot of laps for him, and 19 laps as well for Daryl Whiffen, so their hard tyres are very, very worn towards the end of the race, so perhaps he's just looking to make it to the end. So impressive to see him kind of keep that gap to the Red Bull driver. Perhaps he's not looking to get any closer, because then the dirty air will have too much of an effect on his grip. But currently, running quite nicely there in 2nd position for the Alfa Romeo driver. So interesting to see for him now. Of course, it is the final lap, and they'll be heading to this long back straight for the final time. And Tinus Optional here, he's driven a very, very good race, it must be said. And yeah, he qualified well, he qualified strong, and he's finally, I think, been able to answer for it in this race at China, at the Invictus PlayStation Formula 4 League. He heads through the final few corners now. Round the hairpin he goes, and he can almost taste that champagne, I'm sure, as he heads through the final corner, and he's gonna, well, keep it nice and clean there, and cross the line in 1st position. A very nice result for the Red Bull driver. He's wagging his tail there a little bit, probably with happiness, and Nelly crosses in 2nd position there. So another good podium for the Alfa Romeo driver. TJW, a very, very impressive performance from the Williams driver on the podium, and Craig just behind him in 4th position. So no penalties for the top 3 there. They didn't really have any problems with them. Oh, Stephen in 5th position. Very nice race from him. He qualified towards the back, I think, there, and he didn't have the best of qualifying, but qualifying sessions, but he made his way nicely up into 5th position. F1 Richard there in 10th, in 6th, in 10th. What am I saying? I'm saying numbers now as well. And Tim Andriy in 7th for the McLaren team there. So good points for them, and he re-overtook, I think, Louis at the end there. I'm sure that may have been from penalties, I think. Actually, towards the end of the race there. Yes, it was indeed from penalties, so I think that was why he re-overtook him there. Joe Hamster in 9th, running a nice race. Eric Pancakes in 10th. And speaking of that 3-second gap, it's happened. So impressive to see there from the AlphaTauri driver as Brennan's crosses in 12th position. And David here has got a puncture in his hat car. So a bit of a disaster for him here. On the soft tyres, he's only done 7 laps on them. That's just a testimony to how high the wear is around China. I doubt he's hit any debris here. I'll see if he can bring it home. Of course, I have to say I'm no stranger to punctures myself, and it's not the first time I've seen a Haas with a puncture. But he's going to make his way nicely back to the start-finish straight, and he's going to cross the line, I think, in last place. A valiant effort from him this race on his debut. And despite that getting that puncture, he still crosses quite nicely in 14th position and finishes off the race for the Invictus PlayStation F4 guys there. And he still has plenty of fuel. Look at that to cross the line with. So not having any fuel troubles, unlike myself a week or so ago in France. Driver of the day, Craig there, of course, making up a handful of positions. Plenty of positions there in the race. So good to see for him, but he's gone from the session, I think. And I think I'll have to agree with that driver of the day. But of course, there are plenty of drivers who would have been contenders for that as well this evening. And as we can see, Tinus Optional spraying that champagne and enjoying it indeed quite a lot himself. So good result for the Dutch driver there, and nearly in 2nd position, running in the 2nd place. Perhaps quite happy, I think, the Alfa Romeo driver to not see Brennan's on the podium. And it's good for him to be able to know that he's pulling a lead in the Drivers' Championship there. So Tinus Optional in 1st and Nelly in 2nd there for you guys, with TJW in 3rd to round off the podium at the F4 League on the Wednesday evening there. Craig in 4th position, who went from 17th to 4th. A brilliant race for him today, it must be said. Very, very good drive for the Scottish driver. Just missed out on the podium. I'm sure he'll be slightly gutted by that, but a good race nonetheless. Oh, Stephen in 5th, a good result for him as well. For F1 Richard in 6th position. Another 6th position for Mercedes drivers there, so nice to see. Tim Andy in 10th position, plenty of points for McLaren. In 8th we have Louis, and 9th Joe Hamster, and in 10th position Eric Pancakes to round off the top 10 there. Daryl Whiffen was in 11th with Brennons in 12th. Williams of Towley in 13th, he went up 2 positions in the race, nice to see from him. David in 14th after a good qualifying session, couldn't quite get it together for the race, but yeah, it was a debut drive, so you can't fault him too much there. And Ty Rack in 15th with Spud in 16th, Prezi Boy in 17th, and I think it was Ronanosaurus there in 18th. The 3 retirees this race, so 3 drivers who just haven't really been able to keep it together for today and struggled a little bit with the track, I think. So, yeah, like I said, tricky track, China. Not all the drivers having the best of days there. And we'll see if the podium finishers will join the party in just a little bit here today for their interview. So don't quite leave yet, ladies and gents. We still have some interesting interviews, hopefully, to hear from the podium finishers this evening. If they do join the party, that is for sure. And we'll hear from their perspectives the race. So Tennis Optional, of course, finishing in 1st position nicely to see him finish off a good race there. And Nelly in 2nd with TJW in 3rd position. Very nice podium, I think. TJW on the podium for one of the first time there for them. And we'll see if they can join the party. They should be able to. I'll just quickly double check that for you, ladies and gents. Make sure they can join up for here. They should be able to, as we can see them coming through into the party just now. So a few of the drivers coming in for their interviews. As always, if you did enjoy it this evening, ladies and gents, do make sure to don't leave quite yet. We still got a few watching. Do make sure to leave a like on the stream to help us out greatly, and do make sure to crack on and follow us on the social media platforms. Of course, there won't be any coverage, I don't think, for next week, unfortunately, for the F4 guys, but you will still see the results from the drivers there, as we're having a few issues, I believe, with the podium. I think there towards the end of the race. Not sure why, but the drivers finally coming in there. Apologies for that, ladies and gents. But like I said, do pay attention to the Twitter of Invictus next week, and you'll still see the race results for Spain. Yeah, so we've got 2 of the drivers with us here so far, 1st and 2nd position from them respectively. Of course, Tennis Optional we'll start with you. Nice to see for once from you to a good qualifying from you there, and you managed to finish it off in the race. And we haven't seen you do that much this season, but it's nice to see you finally get a win here in the F4 League. How was that for you tonight? There you go. Very, very nice. Yeah, I'm sure you are. I have to say, there's a lot of sweat involved in league racing. You guys would be surprised here. We do get fairly damp towards the end of the race, it must be said. And yeah, like I said, China, pretty tricky track, and yeah, a few drivers struggling with the traction, and no one less than the winner, of course, as well. So yeah, that's why we had a few of those retirements there today. And Nelly, of course, in 2nd place. Nice to see him there today. Of course, Nelly had a slight injury towards the end of before the race even. I think he got it start of last week, I believe. I wonder how that was for him this evening. How was that for you, Nelly, today?
Well, it didn't really play a role. I was actually not feeling anything during qualifying a race, or before. I did some practice and I did feel it, but in qualifying I was just not able to get my lap in first 2 times, and last time I was able to deliver a good lap. Still a 10th behind Tinis, but in the race I got overtaken by Eric, I think, and then I was trying to stay behind, and I wanted to save my ERS for a little bit later in the race to push in the hard tires. But yeah, as soon as I was on the hard tires, I got no traction at all, and it was very hard to keep up. And especially at the end of the race, I made a stupid mistake, and I pushed my car into Tina's, and I spun myself. So I was pretty angry with myself. So, and at the last 2 laps, I decided to like push like hell, and I got like a second closer in 2 laps, and then I was out of ERS. I was just not able to get it like any closer, and then I think the last sector of the race, I just gave up. I just cruised to the finish line.
Yeah, nice to see. I mean, you two, I think we caught a very nice battle between you two into turn 1, I think. On there.
Yeah, also Bren. Bren was disconnecting. I was about to have a nice battle with him, but then he disconnected. So.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. Yeah, perhaps you're a bit happy to not see him on the podium today. That helps you out in the driver's standings a little bit as well. So that's good for you. And yeah, of course, struggling with the traction, you were on very, very worn hards to the end. So it's fair enough, I guess.
Of course, I wish Bren didn't disconnect, because I probably wouldn't have gotten so close to Tina, so I wouldn't have to be sitting here crying. But no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah, I guess that's the thing with league racing. It's always dependent on the internet connection, and it doesn't always go smoothly for all the drivers there. And just another question quickly for Tennessee, the winner today, and in the F4 League. Of course, next week we have Spain, and I'm definitely a little bit of a fan of the track, so a little bit gutted to be missing out on it, commentating for you guys. But what are your thoughts on Spain, and are you looking forward to it? Yeah, indeed. We don't know what will happen, and if you do want to see the results for that, ladies and gents, then do make sure to check the Invictus Twitter. I'm sure they will be posted on there promptly after the race, and we'll see if they do get any coverage for next week. Not sure about it, and hopefully they do. They've provided some great racing for us over the season so far, and it's been a joy to commentate over them. This season, it has to be said. So this will be my final time. I think saying my final few words here for the season of the F4 guys. So it's a little bit sad here. Not quite tearing up, but almost there, I think. And I'll definitely see you guys next season. That is for sure. But do make sure to tune in to the Realistic Performance League tomorrow evening with Malc and Tim. Both of the Realistic Performance Leagues, actually. They'll be very happy if you tune into them, I'm very sure. And follow Invictus on our social media platforms as well. And don't forget to leave a like on the stream. Always does help us out. Subscribe to the channel. And do head to the website if you want to get involved, like I said, in the Apply to Race section. The applications for next season will open up quite soon, I'm sure, so don't miss that deadline. But from everyone here at the Invictus Formula 4 League, we all hope you have a good night, and we hope to see you in 2 weeks for some live coverage.